Welcome everyone to my video. Today we are going to be going over what I think should be rebalanced in the game. Now, so far we are going to do three sections separated into three videos. Knights, Vikings, then Samurai. Okay, this video is going to be over the Knights, what I think should be rebalanced across all the Knight factions. First off, let's start with Warden. Warden has only one good quality about him, and it's crappy. That would be the Warden Vortex. The Warden Vortex, it needs some reworking. It is good, but the problem is the guard breaking out of Shoulder Bash, it just needs to go. So, what I think should be rebalanced about Warden is the guard breaking out of Shoulder Bash should be just flat out removed. But hear me out. What this would do is this would increase the true 50-50 that I think should stay with Warden, which is the charged Shoulder Bash and the normal Shoulder Bash. If people dodge early, they get hit with the charged Shoulder Bash, they guarantee a heavy. If people don't dodge at all, they just get hit with the normal Shoulder Bash. Of course, he can still feint the Shoulder Bash and not do it, period, which leaves Warden with a decent 50-50 that is widely acceptable, as well as getting rid of the guard break that is kind of stupid and broken in my opinion. Now, what also he needs is his side lights are completely unviable. They're very slow. What they should do is they should have at least a little bit of speed for how much damage they do, and as well as his top light should do slightly more damage. It's his signature move. Why can't he, other than his top heavy, why can't he do more damage from that? It's just... Anyway. Next up we have Conquer. That was one of the more simple reworks. Next up we have Conquer. Conquer, I like what they did with his rework. In fact, I love what they did. But the problem is, they overshot it. I think a simple rework for Conquer would have been just to slightly, ever so slightly, nerf his shoulder bash tracking. Shield bash tracking, my bad. This is because it tracks so much further than most other melees, as well as what should happen is it should have a limit to how late it can start up. This removes much of the 50-50 he has, as well as still making it viable, because it has almost no startup, but it can't be delayed. And other than that, Conk would be perfectly fine. He's still amazingly strong, he still has a bunch of other things going for him, but the shoulder bash, he's no longer relying on that solely, and instead he becomes a monster of everything else, which I'm perfectly fine with. Next up we have PK. Oh my god, there's so many things you can do with PK, but I'm gonna keep this fair. PK's lights are extremely good. That goes without saying, but the problem is they are slightly too good. There's no way to differentiate between the light and the heavy at the startup of both animations. So, my proposal is to make her lights very similar to that of Centurion's, and make it so she can't soft feint out of her first heavy into a guard break. This makes it so she has to do 2 lights then a heavy, and then she can soft feint out of that heavy, but she can't immediately soft feint out of her first heavy. This removes a bunch of the really powerful punishes she has. Next up, she needs to have her zone needs to be at least 500 milliseconds, but what I propose is about 550 milliseconds. This way, it's not as fast as some others, but it's not extremely slow and completely parryable like some other lights. But also make it so that if it is parried, it still gives her the heavy. It still counts as a heavy punish. That makes it extremely fair for both sides. It's slower, it's reactable, it's done. As well as her dodge heavies need slightly less tracking. They don't seem all that fair, and they act like Zerker's top heavies. They just go through their friendlies and opponents like they're nothing. And as well as they go like 10, they go anywhere from like 20 meters, and they still hit you, and it guarantees bleed. What I propose is, instead of that, what you would do is you would nerf the tracking so she doesn't go, like, say Gladiator's top line distance. Seems fair. As well as also making it so that she can't do bleed off it, because the bleed is slightly overpowered, especially when paired with Shaman. Make it so she can't bleed off of those. That's all. That's pretty much it. So, to summarize, she can't, since this is one of the longer reworks I had mentioned, she can't, her zone got slightly nerfed in terms of speed, but the damage is still the same, and it counts as a heavy parry. Her lights stay the same, but you can more easily differentiate between the lights and the heavies because she can't immediately soft feint out of the heavy, making it completely punishable for you. I don't know if that makes sense for you guys, but basically it just nerfs the heavy startup that people try to parry the lights. That way there's not that much punish for you, and it doesn't hit you as hard because you try to parry one of her overpowered moves, or what people think are overpowered. And then just make it so she can't do bleed on dodge heavies. She can still do bleed on normal heavies, which makes it fair. I understand that. That's completely fine. Done. I realize that this nerfs her overall max punish, but that max punish is stupid. Plain and simple. Next up, we have the Lawbringer. Jake Corella and me were talking on Discord, well, texting on the Discord, and he proposed, I actually like this idea, he get a charged shove. That seems fairly reasonable. If they make it like Wardens, I wouldn't mind. It guarantees a heavy if it lands, but if it's not charged fully, it acts like a normal one. This will not knock you down, and it will have a very long startup. But the problem is this doesn't fix Lawbringer's overall problem, which is no openers. You don't have to add the charged shove, but at least solve the problem with no openers. Because his only opener is a shove, and that's too dodgeable. It's almost laughable. I propose that we give him a soft feint, because it's just not like, I don't know what soft feint they would give him if they did give him a soft feint, but he needs some kind of soft feint. It's not fun. It's just too bland. He can't do anything if you're out of stamina. The most he can do is charge forward and keep shoving and missing. That's the most he can do. It's just not fair for him. While he does have a strong defense, he has almost no offense. And that's a thing that needs to change if they really want the defense mandate to go away. They need to add more offense to him. Next up, we have Centurion. Centurion, poor buddy. He got nerfed to the ground. I propose a very simple buff. They make it so the charged jab tracks again. That was beautiful. I don't know why they removed that. It was great. It was a Warden shoulder bash, but it was great. It allowed for so many opportunities, and it added for more like intense battles with the Centurion. Now, Centurion is strong in terms of punishes anyway, but hey, he's great at this. That's what makes him good. He's supposed to be a melee specialist, and they gave Highlander better melees than him. That's not fair. And I also propose that they bring back the stun-on kick. Not the wall splat-on kick, but the stun-on kick, because the stun-on kick was at least fair. It didn't guarantee heavy, but it was almost guaranteed because people had a hard time trying to block it while they were stunned. I like that idea. And that's pretty much all for Cent, but it's small, but it's effective, because that worked back before he was nerfed. That worked. It was good. There was nothing wrong with it but the infinite wall splat, and yet he got nerfed. I don't think that was fair. I think they should give him back those few little aspects just to make it more interesting and a lot more fun. Next up, we have Gladiator. There's not that much wrong with Gladiator. I have very little problems with him as it is. The only problem I really have is his zone. Of course it's his zone. But he doesn't have to have that much tracking on it. As well as the startup doesn't need to be near instant. Give the startup of a zone slightly longer, but increase the damage. Right now it's like 20 or something. Make it so it's like 27. That way, if they don't dodge it, they get hit with a better, more damage, and it feels more worth it. Because you're wasting half your stamina for that. It seems fair. As well as remove the tracking on it, because he goes like 5 feet ahead of you, and you're not even close to him, and you still up out of the zone. That's just not fair. His toe stabs, they feed revenge. They're a little bit OP in duels, but they're perfectly fine because they're very slow unless they're used in tandem with lights, which I have nothing wrong with it. So, if you guys want a quick summary, remove the vortex, give Warden better damage and a little bit more speed, and remove the vortex but replace it with a better 50-50. Okay, that's for the Warden. For the Conqueror, remove his 50-50 with the shield bash. It's retarded. Just give him a limit on the buffer of his shield bash, and then he'll be perfectly fine. PK. Nerf and buff the zone at the same time. Nerf the tracking on the dodge heavy. No bleed on dodge heavy. And make her moveset slightly similar to Sen's, with the no soft feint from the beginning. Meaning a light then a heavy instead of a light heavy. You guys get the point. Next up, and then also for the Lawbringer, give him an opener, give him a charged shove. Make a little bit of sense. Possibly the soft feint. And then we have and then we have Scent. Give him back his jabs properly, and then also give him back his stun on kick. I like that idea. And then, last but not least, Gladiator. Rebalance the zone. Last longer, do more damage. If you guys did like my ideas on this rebalance, and you want to see my ideas for the other characters on the Vikings and Samurais, please do make sure to hit that like button. I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see all you dudes in the next video. Bye-bye.